Hello everyone, my name is Petar Benkovic. I'm international chess master from Serbia. In this video lesson I will show you how to play square mate, or how with white pieces somebody can try to give checkmate in 4 moves. This is usually very famous opening between kids, between beginners, because all beginners, they like to win chess so fast. In quick way to win the game, of course we know this is not possible, but between beginners there are so many games when somebody win a game in 4 moves. And I will show you how you can defend with black pieces and what white threat when he wants to give so fast checkmate. The square mate start with move e4. It's very important to open queen and to open the bishop. Black answer e5, and now there are few options. Bishop c4 or queen h5. Queen h5, it looks interesting. Many kids play this because they just attack this pawn, and here is some trap. If somebody doesn't think, they just play g6 like attack the queen, but didn't watch that e5 pawn is handing, and after this is double attack check, and when protect the king, then black will lose the rook. Okay, this is so famous, but black has to know what to do. When white attack this pawn, black has to protect, and the best way for black is to protect with the knight. Knight c6, and then white can try to play bishop c4 and to give checkmate on f7. And now, if black doesn't see, black has some option, queen e7 or g6. This is g6 is the best option, but if black doesn't think what white wants to do, then he can maybe develop the knight, and so many games between kids finish in this way, and this is checkmate in 4 moves. Okay, but we are going back and we will see another option. White is playing bishop c4, and it's very important. f7 square can be weak if black doesn't develop pieces well. And next move, what white wants to do, this is queen f3 to attack 2 times on f7, and if black also doesn't see the threat of his opponent, then opponent can give him checkmate. And this is idea of square checkmate. Okay, and now we are going back. We will see how it will be in the game. Bishop c4, then black can develop knight f6, but we will see after knight c6 what's happened when white is playing queen h5. Like I said, this is a trap, and the knight f6 is very bad because queen f7, it's checkmate. And here the best option for black is just to play g6, attack the queen, where the queen will go, and the queen can come back to f3 and has again threat to f7, and now black has to defend, and the best place to develop the knight is f6, put knight in the center and block the queen. Queen cannot take to f7. And here, if for example white want to play aggressive with g4, with idea to play g5 and to give checkmate on f7, but black has answer knight d4, attack the queen and attack c2 pawn, queen d1, and here is excellent move d5. So quickly attack the center, open the bishop from c8, and something like bishop e2 to protect g4. Black can just take to e4 and black has pawn more. But if white doesn't want to play aggressive g4, white can also continue easy moves to develop, but black is really okay in this position. Black can be maybe a little better. But sometimes white try to attack few more times on f7. But playing with the queen in the opening few times doesn't look good, because need to develop more pieces, not to play only with the queen. Here black can defend queen e7, but black has also excellent move. This is just counter-attack. Knight d4, attack the queen, attack c2, and knight from f6 attack e4. And what to do, because this pawn on f7 is not for free. This is just temporary sacrifice. After king e7, then how queen can defend this bishop from f7? Only move is queen c4 to protect c2 to protect f7, but after b5 queen has to go somewhere and white will lose this bishop and black will win bishop, and this is material advantage for black. For example, okay, bishop f7 is not so good, but what to do? Here is some option to play queen d3, protect e4, protect c2, maybe wants to play c3 to attack the knight, but black has excellent move d5, attack the center. And now what to do? White, if white takes, just black takes, pawn takes, and then bishop f5. And we can see c2 pawn is very weak. Knight will take later, for example, queen g3, then knight c2, check and attack the rook. After king d1, now black doesn't want to take immediately this rook because he will take later, but white has some threat here. White wants to take this pawn and then to give double attack also on the king and the rook, and just for black is easy to play bishop g7, protect e5, and then next move he will take knight a1, and black is much better. Then we can see that queen h5 is just nothing. Black can easily defend with g6. After queen f3, knight f6 also easy defend and develop the knight. But if white really continue to take this pawn f7, but this is nothing because black has excellent move knight d4. Okay, then we are going back. Queen h5 can be played, but it's not so good. But another option for white is queen f3, and usually many beginners they played in this way: attack f7, and now black has to choose what to do. And the best move maybe for black is just developing move, and it can be similar like we watched just before, but here is without g6, and this move is good for black. But I want to show you some aggressive line, and this line is very nice and I hope you will like. This is some kind of gambit. Black is playing move f5. f5. This is some kind of king gambit. Black offered this pawn, attack the center, and we will see in uh, some lines how black is very strong after this move. And it give him initiative and strong attack, and also not so easy. White wanted to attack black, but now something changed and white has to think about defend. Okay, here the main line is just to play bishop g8. But we will see first what's happened on some side lines. For example, here if white decide to take with queen is not good because d5, this is double attack. Just to take maybe this pawn with the pawn. Accept this gambit, black can play knight f6, wants to play d5 to attack this bishop to take center, and then later he will win back this pawn on f5, and white can protect d5 square, and now black has excellent move knight d4. And this is a problem because queen came so early in the game, and the queen came on the square f3, but this square is for the knight, not for this queen. And now what to do? Queen has to go back. Queen d1 to protect the pawn c2, then d5, take the center with pawns, attack the bishop, and then bishop from c8 is open, and after bishop f5 position is very good for black. Black can move the queen and make a long castle, and this position is advantage for black. Okay, we are going back after f5. Here is some possibly move knight e2 to try to develop this knight, but black also develop his knight f6, knight bc3, and here are some options. Of course, black can develop bishop c5, what is also normal move, but I like more knight a5. Black wants to win this bishop and to take bishop and to have pair of bishop. This is very important. This bishop on c4 is so strong. He's on this diagonal, and black maybe cannot make castle because of this bishop. And after here white has some option, bishop b3 or bishop d3, but if bishop d3, then this bishop is not anymore on this diagonal, but white has to be very careful, for example in center, that maybe some threat to make a double attack with the pawn. Here black can develop the bishop. Black can also play, for example, d6, and this is just normal. And if white takes this pawn, then to play d5, and we can see it's big threat e4 or something like this. But on bishop d3, black is doing bishop c5, and here about a3 wants to play b4, but black doesn't care. Black can play castle, and after b4, what is interesting, black has move d5, and we can see that queen, bishop, and many pieces, they don't stay so good here. White of course can take the piece b c5, for example, but after f takes c4, it's a double attack on the queen and bishop, and queen has to move e d3, queen d3, but this position is so funny. In my opinion, black has huge advantage. the same number of pawns, but position is much better for black. Also, if we go back after this move d5, if white takes maybe e d5, then black can play e4, and we can see queen f3 and bishop d3. It's not good. Queen h3, and here, of course, there are some options to take the bishop, but bishop f2 is just interesting move because this bishop is under the attack, and we give with the check, and then f4, attack the queen from bishop. c8, queen has to go somewhere, but no, a lot of square. Queen h4, only one, and now knight g4. Check from the knight and attack the queen, and white will lose the queen. Yes, and something like this after this move, for example, knight a5, bishop d3 doesn't look good, but bishop b3 is much better. And then in this option, black can take this bishop, take f e4, knight e4, bishop e7, and we can see that black is really good. After d4 he takes knight d4 and castle, and after some moment black will play d5, and black has pair of bishop and open f file, and black has some advantage. And we can see that it's interesting how it's continue this line, that black has interesting contraplay and attack on white position. But we will see the main line is bishop g8. And here, no, it's not good to take this bishop. Now black has middle move. This is very important. But if black takes rook g8, then white has queen h5 and attack the king and pawn on h7. But first, knight d4, very important. Attack the queen, and now queen has to go somewhere. Main line, my main line is queen d1, but we can see maybe what's happened if white is playing queen g3. Then black can play f4, attack the queen, and after queen d3 or maybe queen h3, queen h3 is just nothing. There is d6 and just attack the queen many times, and this is not good. Queen is playing a lot, but black just develop some pieces. Maybe queen d3 protect c2, but then rook g8, and after c3, knight is coming back, knight e6, f3, and then black can play d6. But we can see black has g5, g4, queen f6, bishop d7, and long castle. Black has so many options. But how is white position? White doesn't have anything, and it looks not so good. Queen g3, but queen d3 immediately to protect this pawn, c2, but then black has option queen g5, attack the pawn, and wants to take the rook. If it takes this pawn, then white has to play g3, pawn takes pawn, queen takes, and then rook g8. And really this position is very good for black. First, black has pair of bishop, what is very important. Second, black develop these pieces. Knight on d4 is very dangerous, and white can continue easy. Knight f3, try to change some pieces, but we can see what's happened. This pawn is handing on h7. Can white take this pawn? Yes, white can take, but black doesn't care about anything. Black can play d5 and offer the rook also, but idea for black is bishop f5, attack the queen, and then knight c2 and also take the rook on a1. Queen g8, for example, bishop e6, and then queen h7 to protect this pawn. But if queen comes, maybe here also black can play castle. This is also okay, and it's so dangerous how white can defend c2. This is not easy, but in his position, queen h7 protect this pawn, but bishop f5 attack again. Queen here to change, but knight c2, king d1, and black doesn't want to change the queen. Why to change the queen? He has attack on white position. White king is not so good, and just queen g6, and the next move black will take rook on a1, and black has huge advantage in this position and a big attack. And of course, in this position, if white doesn't take this pawn, white can play knight f3, attack the queen and the knight, and black has interesting move, queen f5. Change the queen, and this position, black will play d6 and develop all pieces, and the black position looks looks better, yes. But first question is, what's happened after knight e5? And if white win this pawn, maybe white can be better. But it's not like this. Knight d4, attack c2, then king d1 on the move, then d6. And when this knight moves somewhere, it's not good because black has bishop g4, king e1, knight c2, king f1, and then knight a1, and black is better. But here, after d6, white can play c3, and after de5, cd4, ed4, and we can see also black is better. Black has pair of bishop and some more space, and yes, position is better for black. And because of this, also queen d3 is not such a good move because queen g5, but white is playing queen d1 protect c2. And here also black doesn't want to take this bishop because white has queen h5 and take h7, something like this maybe in the future, but black has excellent move, queen g5. Attack the pawn g2. And now how to protect this pawn. If white play g3, then rook g8, c3, knight e6, d4, and attack the queen, attack from bishop, attack the pawn e5, queen f6, move, and this position is really interesting because in some moment will be big problem for white because there is no light color bishop, and light squares or white squares can be later very weak, like now it's not possible to protect this pawn. But for example, knight f3, pawn takes, knight e5, and then b6, black wants to develop his bishop on b7, castle, bishop b7, and we can see that it will be big problem for white because white missed his white color bishop. Okay, white can play something like this, but black also can give up this pawn. It's just a pawn, but initiative is very important, and bishop from b7 is very important. This position is better for black. Doesn't matter if white has pawn more. Okay, and here the best option for white is just to play g4. After g4, black must take the bishop, and okay, we can say it's some kind of critical position in this variation. White is playing c3, but here is also some option to play pawn takes f5, but then it's like in king gambit, black is playing for some kind of compensation, and very important, white doesn't have white color bishop, and all these squares will be very weak. Bishop b7, it's excellent. And after this, knight c6, and black will play a long castle d5 and develop something, and okay, white position doesn't look so good, and black is something better here. After rook g8, c3, knight e6, and here white has some option how to take to f5. He has to take f5, otherwise black will be much better. And for example, if this pawn takes, then knight f4, and the black has excellent compensation, and maybe h5 is coming, knight d3, and just maybe to develop pieces, d5, bishop develop, make castle, or b6 with bishop b7, and this position is very strong. But after pawn takes f5, this is interesting. Here black has two options. One option is to play knight f4 and has some threat, knight d3, queen g2, maybe to attack this rook. And another option is just to play knight c5. This maybe knight c5 can be interesting and a better line for some aggressive attack. Knight c5, black wants to take e4 or to play knight d3 also. After d4 it's double attack, bishop attack the queen, and then queen g2 attack the rook, queen f3, it's only move, change the queen, and then black takes to d4. And here if for example white takes with the knight, then knight e4, and this endgame will be good for black in the future, and f5 pawn will be weak. But also doesn't matter if white play e5, something like this, pawn takes, knight takes, and then black can play b6 to develop bishop to b7, and also this endgame will be something better for black. But knight c5 here is a good move, but we will see what's happened after knight f4. Knight f4, it looks interesting, because now two threat, and usually white will play queen f3 to protect both threats. But queen f3 is not a good move, but this is a logical move. The best move is just knight f3, but after this black can play queen g2, and after rook g1, then is some possibly moves to give some kind of perpetual check, because king e3 is not good. Then black can play queen h3 and some strong attack on white king. But if this king move back, maybe black can give again check. But okay, also black can try to play something else. But this line can be draw with perpetual check, or black also can try something else. But rook f1 is also not so good, because here black can try d5. This is interesting. After e d5, bishop f5, here position doesn't promise anything for white. But after here, if king takes d3, then pawn takes here, and to go with king forward, it's very, very dangerous. But king c2, pawn takes d3, bishop f5, it's also good. But okay, we will see what's happened after queen f3. But then black has excellent move d5, and after h4, pawn takes here, pawn takes queen, pawn takes queen, knight f3, knight d3, king e2, and then bishop f5. And here we can say that black has big advantage. They have the same number of pawns, but the pieces and how it looks much better for black. For example, it can continue something like this: knight h4, knight f4, here bishop d3, and the queen side is blocked. This bishop from c1 cannot develop, and here black has some attack on a white position and a big advantage h5. And okay, I will show you some analyze how black can try to give checkmate to white king. It looks interesting, but of course it was not the game, it's just my analyze. And rook f4, and we can see white king is in very, very dangerous position, and here is soon checkmate. And in this way we can see that position after the opening is very dangerous for white, and the black can just play this aggressive line with f5 and make some trouble to white position. And white queen has to go many times, because after knight d4, queen d1, and then queen g5 is the main line, and after g4 rook takes, then c3, knight here, and then pawn takes here. And here of course we saw knight f4, but there is maybe some draw if some perpetual moves, or if black doesn't find something better. But here I can tell you that just easy play knight c5 and make trouble to white position. I hope you like this video, and you can play this with the black pieces if somebody play against you. But of course this opening is just for beginners, and it's nice to know this way how you can continue with black. Thank you very much for your watching, and see you next time. See you with my next video, and until this, bye bye.